As you join us then, this little group of 4 men up at the front. They're going to have more company as well, because there's a hell of a lot of riders are trying to jump across and make the name for themselves as being up with the leading group. But I fear, in fact, that's Roche who's just gone across here with De Leon, and also in that there from the TVM team, number 95 has gone across is Peter Meinhardt, and there we are in the background, the windmill's going. So, yep, sure as eggs are eggs, we're in Holland now. Or should I say, sure as cheese is cheese. But look at a massive crowd turnout, and all of them urging the Bucklers on for a stage victory. Buckler not having had a particularly happy tour so far, and yesterday they were upset when their rider De Vries came down with an awful bang, and we had 6 riders taken off to hospital yesterday. I'll tell you more about that in just a moment. That beautiful sight of the windmill, and the English cyclists know if you're a time trialist and you're pushing a big gear, you say you got the old windmill going around. Well, that's a real live one working away. And I think somehow that looks as if is he going to persist with this one? Well, it was rather odd then, because easing back for just a moment, Jackie Durand has allowed a gap to open up. We'll wait this one settles down. I'll put you in the picture what's happened so far. There's going to be some very tight legs tonight, I can tell you, the way they've been clattering on. Yep, up in the front. So De Leon's got across now, and Tibaldi there is still acting as night watchman. Not prepared to do anything about this one. Yes, Tibaldi is dropping back as well for some reason. Perhaps he's looking around to see if Jalabert is coming across. Now, there's quite a smattering of useful riders in this group. Trying to see if any of them are a threat to the yellow jersey. I think at the moment, though, the chances of getting... Whoops, that's going to be a nasty one for the field coming around. I certainly didn't see a policeman there on the travelling gendarmes with the yellow flag. When the big bunch comes around that one, there'll be a few, I think, riding over the central reservation. That's half the trouble now with modern road design. They're putting central reservations up to split the traffic out, and it's not ideal for bike racing at all. We've had it in the past. Yes, now it looks like Roche has gone straight through to the front. I said that Roche was up there, and he's gone straight onto the front. Well, undoubtedly, the Carrera team are taking this race by the scruff of the neck. They've probably been the most active team, and they are, in fact, the team that's leading overall on the team championship at the moment. They've got that. They had the Tim Award yesterday. They've got the fastest team now. They rode extremely well in the time trial, and amazing enough, no Gatorade have come through, and Tibaldi is now actually starting to ride. So I can't quite understand that. Perhaps they decided that they better get stuck in then, as De Leon now going through, just finding a bit of form, Gilles De Leon. Oh, it's Zuller that's made his way up. I wonder which one it was from the Onse team, and it's Zuller that's got his way up there to join up at the front of the pack now. And oh, I might have thought about it, because all the bucklers so far have been moving with everything that's happening. Eric van der Aarden it is, trying to come across that gap now, but he's towing one of the Carrera riders with him, Massimio Garotto. But Garotto has now gone on to the front. It's the second time we've seen Garotto in action, so trying to come up from behind is Garotto and Eric van der Aarden. Well, that will add some pace to it if Garotto gets up there, because already he's got Stephen Roche in that leading group. Van der Aarden trying hard here. At 36 seconds back to the main group. They've covered 153 kilometres of the race at the moment. So we've passed then through, or we're in now in Gronsveld. We've gone through Maastricht, where that special sprint was held. The centre of that great Maastricht summit meeting, which has caused so much controversy. This very much a European tour, with riders not only from all across Europe taking part, and from outside Europe too, but we're now into Holland, having been into Belgium yesterday, started down in Spain, a little trip into France, working our way around. We're off to Luxembourg, then Germany, and then back in a short trip through into France, and back into Italy, back into France again. And this massive crowd have turned out to cheer on the competitors. Still hanging on in the back there at the moment for the Tulip team is Herman Frieson. He's a Belgian rider. And the impetus of Roche suddenly putting that up now to a 30-second lead for this group of riders on the front. Dion, Zuller, and also up there for Ariostea. Then we've got Tebaldi, and it's still Roche charging this one along. So Roche is tremendously in good form. He said to me he's taking it day by day because the trouble he's had with his back and his backside. Here we're going up towards the top of this climb. We're now up on the Côte Savabos, a 4th category climb, and it looks as if Roche is going to collect a few points up on the top of that one. He's not really in contention for the King of the Mountains, but certainly his teammate Claudio Chiappucci is, so he might as well keep the points in the same team as allow them to go off to somebody else. So there we are, Roche on the front of this one. Now that is a tidy group of riders, and if they're all prepared to work at it, that 30 seconds could in fact go up. And as I say, we're now through 155 kilometres of this race. They have in fact got some 41 kilometres left to go. And here comes this little chasing group. Tunis has now come across to join them as well. What a tremendous crowd. I think somehow, though, if these little splinter groups actually catch the leaders, we might find them all being pulled together. So it's still 36 seconds in front. Tunisia, one of these riders who favours the long flowing hair. And obviously, there's not going to be much chase work, I think, being done by Dmitry Konishev. And they're also towing up yet again number 203 going across there, Brian Home. We've seen him in action. He was in action yesterday. So Home, who got a bit sort of blown out when they came to the sprint yesterday, is now just sitting on the wheels for the Tulip Squad, a team which in fact is very much, again, League of Nations. And Alan Piper, the Australian, was in an early break, and at the moment then the mixture of teams of Belgians, Dutchmen, a Danish rider, German rider and an Australian, so he's going to sit in there. I don't think he's going to contribute at the moment, although the career rider Girotto is trying to encourage him to come through. And a mixture on there, 36 seconds still, and I think it's 52 back to the main field. So this group here are now at 36 seconds. I'm not quite sure what happened to Van der Aarden. I've been looking furiously at my notes here, and Van der Aarden was certainly one that tried to go away to begin with, but perhaps we got that wrong. But still, Garotto, Tunisia, here we are, that's Roche, Tebaldi and Durant. Confirmation of the climb. Spots on the screen as we came back to the race here on this stage in Brussels to Valkenburg, covering 196 kilometres today. But it's now started to rain, which is going to make it very, very difficult indeed for that main pack to hold the speed on the twisty road in towards Valkenburg, where we have a nice little climb up the Kolberg with 2 kilometres to go that'll really sap the strength of many of these riders who've had one of the hardest starts to any Tour de France in recent years that I can remember. And we've got a little group of 4 men there looking up the road then. That early party that went away, including Stephen Roche. The last we had was a lead of well over 30-odd seconds, 36 seconds. I think the main field is about 50-odd back. So here we are with this group at the front. And that group then includes Yaman for the, that's him there, Yaman for Ariastea. Just moving on his way through then for the Castrama squad, number 45, and that is Jackie Durand, who's in this one. Yaman goes back through again for Ariastea. The Swiss rider looking back for something else to come through. This time it's going to be Stephen Roche, who's been putting some real impetus into this break. He just went across it, and he didn't sit on the back like riders normally do. He went through there. Well, that's his position, 8th overall, 54th in the King of the on the green jersey sprints position. I don't think he's worried about that. But 8th overall in general classification, Stephen Roche this morning set out 5 minutes 28 seconds down on Pascal Lino, the yellow jersey. Tebaldi marking him here, recognises Roche as a significant danger, and the gap's opening up all the time now then. So the unusual look bike being pummeled along by Zuller, young Gilles de Lyon here. A couple of years ago, the best Frenchman in the Tour de France, finishing in 14th place, and they all thought they got a new up-and-coming Hino. He's done quite well, but not quite as well as some people would expect. Jackie Durand then moving through, Yaman at the back of this little group. there. Just have a quick look at that bike then, being ridden by Zulla in the back. And have a look at that one. See, look at the straight forks at the front and the way in which the headset is offset back behind the column that goes straight up to the handlebars. But they have a very unusual multi-adjustable handlebar stem, but he's got a standard one on there at the moment by the looks of it. Most unusual bicycle. And the other man in this group then riding for the Tulip team, and he's just sitting on the back at the moment, Herman Frisson. Letting these riders up in front do the race. Well, we're back then with this chasing group coming through very quickly indeed, and the two of the TVM riders, Connie Shave and Tunisa, the Dutchman, in there then. Also Carotto and Brian Holmes. So that's the little group we've got now, who are coming up then to try and join that leading group. 30-odd seconds, the last check we had back to these here, and 50-odd seconds to the main field. So that's perhaps time for me to tell you what happened this morning. They've been on the road since they left. They 11:45, quarter to 12 Central European time. They set off from Brussels on a neutralised run out of the town until they started at Oudegem, and that was a little gentle ride out just to sort the legs out. Some 25 minutes before the official start proper was underway, and straight away the action was there, because by 49 kilometres, Chiappucci had been away for a couple of minutes with Pedersen and Kravsol and Tirato and Diaz Zabala, and they gained a couple of minutes on the main field. Let's see what it is now. 22 seconds to the chasers from the leading group, and we'll wait then to see if the timekeeper will give us the gap between the chasers. We're now looking at the main group at the front. We haven't got that yet, but it's I think it's another 20 or 30 seconds behind them anyway. Well, after that group went away this morning, as you might imagine, with Chiappucci in it, there was a massive chasing group with Barr, Motte, Jean-Francois Bernard, Indurain, Roche, Le Monde, Lino, Hampston, Bunyo, Delgado, you name it, they were there, and they split the field completely. All the big men went onto the front and hammered off to pull back Chiappucci, and about 60 kilometres have been covered, and they actually regrouped. So we're back now with the main chasing group, and surprising enough, putting in quite a big burst on the front there. Perhaps he doesn't know his team leader's gone away, because we've just seen Philippe Louvio winding it up. So the gap 1:05 then between the group at the front and the main pack. 1:05 it is on the leaders to the main pack, and that little group in between adds something like about 30 seconds. So they're neatly sandwiched between the breakaways. Konishave here with his head slightly on one side begins to lose a bit of contact. Konishave struggling somewhat, and over the top there. Or are they in fact? No, that's right, he just lost contact as Carotto has gone very quickly indeed. Oh, we can see how the wet roads are taking home right into the gutter, but he's managed to just get his bike back in the line again. Oh, that was a heart-stopping moment. Fortunately, see the cycle tracks with the red ones, that's where the cycles have priority and cars can't go on there. But fortunately, the surface is a bit rougher than the road, so he was able to get his bike cranked back upright again. My goodness, that was a heart-stopping moment. Well, we're going to have a moment of rest as well, but don't go away, more action coming up. It's a group of riders who are the breakaway party that has now got a lead of 1 minute and 5 seconds on the main field, and wedged in between them, just some 20 seconds back, are the chasing riders of Tunisia and Konishev from TVM, Carotto from the Carrera team, and Brian Holm from Tulip, with most of the work being done by Carotto and Konishev at the moment. And this is the leading group coming up the top of this climb, and we can see that Roche at the moment, they were 10 seconds back to the chasers, so that's going to make it quite a fair old pack at the front. And again, Tiboldi not wanting to put too much impetus behind this one. There'll be two Tulip riders in this little group when they come up. Two from Carrera, we've got the two from TVM coming up as well at the moment. So there's going to be quite a gathering of the clans up here, and it looks like they've pulled back that one lone rider. It was the Ariasteer rider, I think, who clopped off the front. And here we are, 1:05 it is, at 163 kilometres have been covered. So we're coming up then to the Côte de Louberg, which will be, once they get up to the top of the climb, another fourth category. There'll be 28.5 kilometres to go. So at the moment then they've got some 34 kilometres or thereabouts to go. Look at Tunisia concentrate on this one. This undulating run into the finish will certainly suit. Look, here they are coming up, and Tunisia is driving that one along. He's got rid of Konishev. He hasn't decided that his teammate needs a bit of care and attention. He's just gone across there. So at the moment then, when Roche will look back, he'll find that he's got another rider from Carrera with him, which will certainly help his endeavours to try and win this stage. That climb just 2 kilometres to the finish will certainly suit people like Tunisia. Roche can climb well. He's been showing a tremendously good return to form, as Stephen Roche. And I said a few days earlier when I was looking at him down there at dinner one evening, I looked at him, I thought, Stephen, you look very slim indeed. But he is suffering with this trouble he's got down in his lower part of his back and his backside. It is a bit uncomfortable. He said, well, it's pain. They've up there, Carotto's got across, and he's got with him Tunisia as well. So there the TVM are beginning to make their presence felt at the front of this group. Let's go back then and tell you, while we're waiting to see if the others are going to get up, as the rain is coming down now, that after that group, including Chiappucci this morning, went away and they were chased down by all the top men in the race. They regrouped. Maassen and Pedersen set off after 67 kilometres of racing. Maassen, in fact, comes from this neck of the woods. He's a local man, and so Maassen, knowing all the roads, decided after 67 kilometres to wave the flag for his family and relations along the route. Went off then with Pedersen, the Danish rider from the Meyer team. So we had a Buckler and Meyer winding their way up at the front. And they were quickly joined at 96 kilometres by Mechler. Alan Piper was in there. Neidham had jumped across to add 2 for Buckler. Giannetti was there. Pascolino, the yellow jersey, actually moved up with that group as well, as did Andreo, Rue and Wengens. And they were out there from the 90 kilometre point, and they began to get caught as we went over the climb of the Hallenby after 126 kilometres had been covered. So here are Konishev trying to come up to them, and I think he'll make it on the flat. He's been struggling a bit on the hills. He's quite a good all-rounder, Konishev. Winner last year, 2 stages in the Tour de France, and of course the man who won that one in the Champs-Élysées. That was going to be the showdown, we thought, of the sprinters. We didn't think that the fast men were, in fact, 19 seconds it says to follow. I should suggest they're going to have to throw that one away and be more into the edge. 1 minute 20, because now we've got Tunisia up there. Carotto has made it up the front. Konishev has now come up. The only one that's left was Brian Home, who was having trouble getting up. Hello, they haven't quite caught up. I beg their pardon. I thought, in fact, they caught up there, but we're back with Home, Carotto, Konishev and Tunisia. They haven't actually got him. It must be the telephoto lens that made me think that they had in fact caught up. But my many apologies to all you experts back at home who said he's got it wrong, Sunshine. They're still 10 seconds down. The flag waving from the policeman on the corner saying, watch it lads, there's obstruction up in front. And this certainly, as I said before, is going to aid the little groups off the front. These very, very slippy roads, bad conditions. You get little bits of pave here and there, and in the towns then bumping and jumping all over the pave. And this little group still up at the front. So that's been a rundown of what's happened today. Bad luck for Alan Piper, who got with a break yet again. They got a lead of 1 minute 40 seconds at one time, but bit by bit they were reeled in, and as they went through the feeding station, they only had about 10 kilometres left before they got caught. So yes, my eye in fact went to the one of the TVM ride. I thought in fact he got across, but it was of course Peter Meinhardt from TVM on the back of that group. And when we just looked up, I saw a green jersey and a TVM jersey, and came to the conclusion that Meinhardt, the TVM, had made it across there. But of course I was terribly wrong. This little group here have still got some 10 seconds to make to catch up. So that will give TVM 3 riders up in the front if they make this one. Tunisia, Konishev and Meinhardt, all from the same team. That's the neutral service car on the right-hand side, the Mavic one, who's following this group here. So far, the team managers have decided not to come up yet, because now there's a 1 minute gap between this group and the main field. I think possibly the officials will allow any of the team managers who want to go to come up to the front. But on the very narrow roads, it's difficult for the team cars to get by, and particularly when it's wet, and that's when you can have the accidents. That terrible crash we had yesterday, if you saw it on our programme, let me just tell you that 6 riders went to hospital. Scuren from Lotto, Cornelet from the Z team, Gonzalez Jareta from Festina, Volk Boden from the PDM team, De Vries from Buckler, and Polly of the GBM team. Polly, in fact, has been suffering with concussion and all those 6 went to hospital. Certainly Cornelet didn't start this morning because he'd fractured his left elbow. It's impossible. In fact, they virtually pushed him to the finish. Cornelet now has had to pack it in, and great concern too about Bowden, who looks like he's broken a bone in his hand as well. So a lot of riders came crashing down yesterday, and they're going to be sidelined from the race or soldier on in enormous pain. Well, making them grimace and giving them some real stick here on the front then. Stephen Roche really has come back to this race with a bang, hasn't he? And it's good to see it. He's had those years in the wilderness after his tremendous performance when he won the Tour of Italy, the Tour of France and the World Championship all in 1 year. And we all thought that Stephen was going to be one of the unstoppable greats, and then he went and crashed in the Paris 6-day race when he's riding with Tony Doyle, banged his knee, and he's been having operation after operation ever since. Then his back gave trouble, and so here he is then, still he says in pain, but he's determined to make other people suffer as well. And Roche on the front. Well, let's hope he doesn't tire himself out too much, but undoubtedly they've got a great one too, have the Carrera team, because Chiappucci attacks, then Roche attacks, and another man yesterday who caught a few people napping was Greg LeMond. And evidently, when we had a chat later on and found out what was going on, it appears that Greg LeMond and Chiappucci had tried to go away earlier yesterday, and it was LeMond who said to Chiappucci, hang on, let's wait a bit, and they got caught, and it wasn't until they finally launched that assault after that sprint running in toward the finish that LeMond and Chiappucci gave the nod. Off the two of them went, and they rode together into the finish. So as long as LeMond and Chiappucci are prepared to take on the big hitters, that's the people who have positioned themselves, riding craftily, riding with their teams, the Indurains, the Bugnos of this world, then entrepreneurial activity like Chiappucci and LeMond have been putting in might well catch them out, because they're stoking up all the time just a bit more advantage. Because we came into the race this morning and we're still looking at this breakaway group. Chiappucci had moved up from 6th to 3rd place. He's now 3 minutes 34 seconds down on the yellow jersey, and Greg LeMond moved up from 14th to 5th place, now 4:29 down. But the greatest thing was that they punched a hole between themselves and some of the top people who've already been tipped as perhaps being on the rostrum of the Champs-Élysées at the end of it. Because Bugno is at 5 minutes 6, so in fact the gap between LeMond and Bugno at the moment is something in excess of half a minute, and that's the useful thing. So then 31 seconds back from the first group to that second chasing party, so it slipped again. They got within 10 seconds, and I thought that the 36 seconds then from the first group to the group containing Tunisia and Conichet, they got within 10 seconds. I thought they were going to close it up, but they didn't do that. That's confirmation coming up over the radio. So let me tell you then that that move yesterday by up the 168 kilometres, Roche, Tiboldi and Yarman, confirmation of that one. And up comes the neutral car then for Friesen. He's looking for help. His arm's gone. Well, the neutral car, oh, his saddle's loose. It's his saddle that's gone loose. And I think he'll probably want a spare bike, and he might not want to take a spare bike off the car. He's looking back for his own team car. Oh, in fact, he's going to do it with a spanner himself. In fact, it's an Allen key job. And no, that's rather surprising. I'd have thought he'd let the mechanic come up. Normally the mechanic then leans out and locks the thing up, but he's just pulling that saddle up himself. Tricky thing to do in the rain, and very often they like the mechanic to come along and hold them, but it's his mobile mechanics while you wait. And the front job in front aren't going to wait for him, I can tell you. So he's still trying to tighten that device up. That's the Allen key down into the clamp. So he's got those shot-in backstays going, and he's decided to nick the Allen key. A sensible thing in case it goes loose again. But more likely, of course, if it's slipped down a bit. I'm looking at his leg length. It's nearly straight, actually. So possibly he's got his right position. We're back then with this chasing foursome, sorry, who got within 10 seconds of the leaders, and now they've drifted back to 36 seconds at the last count. More mechanical activity going on. I think the saddle looked to me that he got it up a little bit too high, but he's put the Allen key back in his pocket, and I think he's probably got it about right now. Let's look at him. Yes, I think he's got himself right again. So the group still out in front, splitting a little bit under the pressure. We're going to take a short break. Group of 8 riders, and This is a chasing group of 4, and they are coming up now. They've been yo-yoing. They were at 10 seconds, then 30, then back, and here they are. They've got them in sight. Tunisia, the Dutchman, going across that gap now, and that puts 3 of the TVM riders in that main group, and if they stay away, says he, tapping the side of his nose, would suggest they're going to win the team award today. Well, there we are. But Carrera have got 2 men in this one as well. On the team classification at the moment, as they've now got up on the top of this climb here, the riders being cheered on by enormous crowd. TVM actually a 5th team overall in general classification, some 12 minutes back on Carrera, so today will help them in that attempt, but nevertheless certainly Carrera are the team that at the moment are leading on the general classification. They won the stage yesterday. They've been certainly very dominant indeed, so with Roche and his fellow compatriot up there with him at the moment, Grotto, and there's Roche driving this one along. I'd have thought that possibly, in fact, certainly Tunisia will get a bit of a breather, I think, before he comes through on the front. But Tunisia has got to be the man to help drive this one along. See, Tiboldi's not aiding it because he is a teammate of Bunyo, and he's got to make sure that people like Roche don't get too much daylight. And at the back then, it appears as if the Italian from... Roche has gone way up over the top of this one. Still in the lead, and his teammate, I think, is being blasted off the back. And this climb then of the Côte de Limbourg we've had, we're now coming up then to the Côte de Cameric. And Roche undoubtedly in fine form. He's giving everybody some stick at the back. They're having to really grit their teeth. De Leon's moved up now onto Roche's wheel. And there Tiboldi over the right-hand side, still not aiding this at all. And at the back, Conishave with his crash-out tip on the side. There are Côte de Cameric. They're up on that one. This 4th category climb, still Roche at the front. He really has been knocking off the King of the Mountains points so far. There are not very many points, of course, when you're up in the 4th category. There, Tiboldi with him and Yarman. And they went over the last one, Roche first, Tiboldi and Yarman. That was 1st, 2nd and 3rd of the last climb we had. It looks like they're going to repeat this one at the moment because De Leon is not aiding this chase at all. De Leon just sitting back behind them and letting them get on with it. Or is he going to squeak by when they get up around the top of this climb here? Still De Leon looking nice and relaxed for the Helvetia team, which is another team that looks like it's going to be out of work at the end of this year. The information we have is that... Oh, look at the Zeds on the front, hammering this one down. So they have come in. They're a team of very good climbers, but unfortunately now with that their rider who crashed yesterday, Cornelet, so that's certainly slimmed them down somewhat. But look at that, just about every Z is on the front this one, because the last time check we had between the leaders and the main group was something around about over a minute actually, and so the group then at the front beginning to split apart once those 4 men came up to the leading 8. 1:05 I think was one time check we had, and some 30 seconds originally was the gap between the leading 8 and the chasing 4. So no wonder Z are on the front. They recognise now they've got to really work hard to pull this one back, because Roche in fact this morning at 5:28 he started out this morning just 1 minute down on Greg LeMond. So on the road at the moment Roche has overtaken Greg LeMond, and Zulla's been blasted out the back. He's just struggling to stay up with it. The young rider who took the yellow jersey on his birthday down at San Sebastian, and still it's Roche doing the damage. Roche really is the man of the moment here. He's stretching his legs, he's pulling this lot along, they're just letting him get on with all the work. But we saw that yesterday with Chiappucci and LeMond. They really went in towards the finish of the race, and the others let him get on with it. And of course they didn't get the stage, but they got a lot of time advantage as the flashbulbs here pick up the riders coming up through the murky forest. And a lovely little part of the world this is. It's the little Switzerland of Holland, or the little Alps of Holland as you may like to call it, but certainly it undulates around this part of the world. It's a route much used by the Amstel Gold. It goes up and down and round and back on itself, and this massive crowd that's all turned out to cheer them through. Disappointed I think they'll be that Tunisia, who came up and caught with that leading 8, has not made it up to the front, but there's still time for him to recover and get his breath back as we're now going up over the top of that climb. Roche was leading as they went through the forest. We're to be down the other side. That then, the Côte de Cameric, 21.5 kilometres have been covered. sorry, 21.5 kilometres from the end. They've actually covered 175 kilometres of the race today. Roche eases back a little bit, having yet again, according to my calculations here through the murk, got himself the top awards on that climb. So Roche then eases back, sits on the wheel at Tebaldi, lets Jarman take up the chase at the front with De Leon. And was he just easing his back then? I remember speaking to him after the team time trial, and I said, "You're okay with your back?" He said it was hurting, and he said, "I didn't realise until I looked at it on television how much I was sitting up and easing my back." And even he hadn't realised what he was doing, but anyway, I hope he was just sort of adjusting his jersey somewhat and isn't really suffering too much. So there we are. Roche dropping in to third in line, and nice little train coming up from behind. Let's see which has been, oops, they took the camera off quick before we could see which was a survivor from TVM, who had originally 3 men away in this break. Roche gone back through on the front, Zuller at the back here. Oh, well, it's still the lad who was up with the early break at the moment, Peter Meinhardt, that's here. He hasn't waited for his teammate, so Peter Meinhardt, the Danish rider, is still away there at the moment. And he didn't hang on and wait for Tunisa or Connie Shave. So then we're getting round towards 20 kilometres to go. The Côte de Camargue's out. We've got one final climb at Le Coburg, 2 kilometres from the end of this race. Riders having a bit of food and drink. The top of the Côte de Camargue, down the other side, somewhere around about 20 kilometres to go from the finish. This massive crowd cheering on these riders. Just at the back then, Tebaldi from the Gatorade team, still not aiding the chase at all. There we look at Gilles de Leon, who just won the Classic des Alpes, so he's a very useful climber indeed, coming back nicely into form. And then Ralph Jarman working his way through here, just leading this little pack along, and all contributing except for Tebaldi. Let's see if Tebaldi does come through on this occasion, but the last we had, 1 minute 25 seconds back to the main group then at 20 kilometres to go. Roche the driving force in this one. Stephen, the Dubliner, now really having a new lease of life, and all due courage to him to come into this race on a do-or-die basis. He's still got the Alps ahead of him. If he survives that, remember, it isn't quite so tough this year. We don't have the Pyrenees after the Alps. We only have one little quick trip through there on day 2 of the race. And now here we are as far as Roche is concerned, driving this one on. Then Jarman coming through, looking remarkably comfortable at the moment, Ralph Jarman. And then De Leon just behind him. Tebaldi wiping his glasses, keeping the grit out of his eyes. Gilles de Leon, he's had more than his fair share of problems, health problems, De Leon, but he looks like he's coming back into good form now. Jarman out of the saddle, easing back. Disgusting conditions, probably one of the wettest starts to the Tour we've had in many, many years now, and the riders have not been very happy with the conditions. And not only that, the race actually has been going from the gun. There was, in the old days, very often on the Tour de France, you'd find the first, if you've got to say 6-hour race, the first 4 hours, they'd have a little bit of attacks, odd things going away. One rider might top off on his own, but generally speaking, the riders would have a fairly easy ride, and the hammer would go down for the last couple of hours, particularly on the flatter stages. But they've been going from the gun now. As soon as they get outside the neutralised zone, the flag go, bang, off they go. And we've had that sort of activity right the way through this race, and in fairly disgusting conditions over these last couple of days when the rain's been chucking it down and making it very, very difficult indeed then. So Jarman in that little group of breakaway riders, winner of a stage in the Tour of Italy in his time. He's got quite a very good set of records to him. And this is the chasing group, which we're now looking back at, part of the original breakaway group of 8, which then had 4, which made 12, and they split again and 4 off the front. Durand there, and the 2 tulip riders are both in this little group at the moment. Brian Hone, number 203 in there at the moment, and Frison, who's best known as a sort of sprinter Roman, so I don't think as far as Frison's concerned, he likes the hills. There we are, that looks like the 20 kilometre to go flag. We haven't actually had it on our screen, and they just flashed through it at that point. whoops, that's a nasty bit of roadworks in the centre. Bit of a TVM time trial going on. I thought the three might get together, so Maker's the three of the TVM riders, Maynard, sorry, now with Konishev and Tunisa. Now that has got to be the tactics of those three to work together, and these other riders will just sit in on it, I suggest, and let them get on with it. You can imagine back in the main pack, well, see how they swung round there on that central reservation. What they're doing now, when you get these painted surfaces, those are the very difficult spots, because that's where it's very, very slippy indeed. And so the riders will have to watch out for those. Of course, the bigger the pack, the more difficult it is for the riders to observe things like that down on the road. In fact, what a lot of people do is they shout out to their friends behind and say that there's going to be, you know, an obstruction in front. There's Jarman on the front, then previous champion of Switzerland, stage winner in the Tour de Suisse as well, is just moving through to let Roche come through, and then De Leon. Nice little workmanlike group, and these four, undoubtedly Roche is the stronger man, but De Leon, if he's prepared to roll with this one, I think that he would like to get some success in this tour, because if the Helvetia team doesn't get sponsorship from somebody else, and they could be breaking up and he'd be looking for a contract. So you're getting a lot of riders here wanting to impress likely future sponsors, and I think we're going to see some of the riders changing teams for a lot less money they've been riding for in the past, but that's happening in many sports now. I heard John Watson saying the same thing in connection with the Grand Prix drivers, that a lot of them have been a bit overpaid, and some of the young thrusters are coming up now and looking for contracts at a lot less money than some of the older soldiers who possibly oh, another lovely shot. So some of the older soldiers who've probably gone a little bit past their time, and the young thrusters are getting up amongst them now. Well, similar things happening in cycle racing. We've got some 36 riders in here with the 25 years in age and under the competition, whereas last year we only had about a dozen of them. So a lot of young thrusters coming through. Well, he's no young thruster on the front now. Stephen Roche. I want to say he's fastest sell by day, that my friends in Ireland will come thumping at me, because I remember egg on FaceTime it was when I didn't think that Roche, after winning the Tour of Italy, could win that Tour for France, when he went on and romped over everybody. So that was egg on FaceTime. Look how strong he is now. Stephen, I think, has benefited by the freedom riding with the career team. They do seem a happy bunch of blokes who allow the riders a lot of freedom, and particularly Chiappucci. I think the two of them have got a wonderful relationship together, and 1 minute 30 seconds is the gap back at the moment from the main group. So the 12 seconds to the second group behind these leading four, and the main field 1:37 back from the four you're looking at in the lead at the moment. Well, what a day we've got here. It's every day things break up, don't they? I don't know. Obviously no rest for the wicked at all for these 191 survivors or thereabouts, maybe down to 190. Haven't had confirmation of the non-starters yet this morning, but we certainly know that Cornley hasn't started. 198 in all were on the roll call at the start of the race, but right now we've got 4 men away, being chased down by 8. And TVM must surely be the key to this chase. There they are with the neutral service vehicle. What happens to the neutral service vehicle? They actually drive that neutral service vehicle up in front of the race, so a couple of them, and when you get a break going like this one, they pull the neutral service back, because it's easier to have, say, 4 riders or 8 riders go past. Jackie Duran looking back to see if his team car is there. I think he probably wants to ask a question, but the team cars haven't come through yet for 2 reasons. First of all, it's very narrow and very slippy and very dangerous. And secondly, except for Roche up in front and Tunisa, not a lot of the top men, Ponzilla, I suppose, for Onse, but not a lot of the top men are with this break at the moment, so the team cars haven't made their way up at the moment. So that's the way it is. 4 being chased down by this little group of 8 we're looking at now. It's an 8-man group chasing down this 4-man group in front. Quick switch of camera shots from one to the other, and there you can see we're at 187.5 kilometres. Special sprint then which will give a bonus of 6, 3 and 2 in points and in time to the riders as they go across that line. And so far Roche on the mountain has been the very strong man. Gilles de Lyon moving through now. Winner of the Grand Prix of Lombardy a couple of years ago. Roche going through now. Had 3 good successes last year, did Stephen Roche, particularly in the Cement Catalan at the start of the season. He started off well, then faded a bit towards the back end of the year. You may remember that he had that terrible problem with his team, Condon Tapis, that is now no longer in existence. They were looking good at Stephen Roche when he was on the toilet and didn't hear the call for the team in the team time trial, and came and joined me in the commentary box, helping out for the rest of the tour. I'm glad that he's still bashing away out there at the moment. Ralph Jarman, say winner of the stage in things like Tour of Switzerland, Tour of Italy, champion of Switzerland as well. And Tebaldi, well, he's been around a bit now, a very seasoned campaigner, Tebaldi, and I think he certainly has got a fair old sprint, and so probably whilst he's going along as the man to mark this lot, Tebaldi might be in. Well, it's growing now. We've got it 2 minutes and 15 seconds is the difference back to the peloton. We just heard it on the radio then. 2:15 is the gap back from this group, so it's growing all the time, and Tebaldi's off to try and get this special sprint, and there he goes. I said Tebaldi was a fair old man when he comes to sprinting. Roche is just drifting off the pace. He's been working very hard in the hills and on the front on the flat, so Tebaldi takes that one. So first over the line, it's a check. It was, yes, Tebaldi ahead of de Lyon and Jarman in 3rd place. Confirmation then of that special sprint at Ettenaaken. Tebaldi, de Lyon and Jarman. And I'm not surprised that Stephen just eased back a bit. He's been doing so much work in the hills, where of course that is where the gaps can be opened up. And he's come back up again then. So Stephen Roche, 33 years of age, he'll be in November this year. And there he is. And if you think that's an old age for cyclists, just imagine that Bontempi at 32 is perhaps in his prime now, the way he started winning sprints. There we are, the gap. I should have thought about 30 seconds back to this group at the moment. 35 seconds, in fact, to the second group. And of course, Sean Kelly, 36 years of age, winning the Milan San Remo this morning, the Grand Prix Louis Puig. There we are, Tebaldi, de Lyon, that has been confirmed then, 187.5 kilometres. And they've now just got 9 kilometres to go, or just slightly less than 9 kilometres in towards the finish. Roche, I think, sensibly deciding that, as he had information that they're over 2 minutes ahead, has eased back a little bit now from pushing the pace along and let Jarman and Tebaldi and de Lyon. I think will get his breath back and slightly help the group, but I'm not sure that Stephen wants to work too hard just yet a while, because he's got to get his breath back. And there are these vital 20 seconds, 12 seconds and 6 seconds bonuses at the finish for the top 3. There is the big group. It looks like Gatorade from here on the front, trying to cut that gap. It is, or is it Zed's? No, let's have a look down there again on my monitor. It is Zed still on the front. Well, we've seen them trying very hard in the past, and they're at it again now. From our last picture we saw, you can see there is Gianni Bugno, 2:46 back from the front, just going slightly left of our picture, looking back through this little lot. Yeah, there's yellow jersey. Pasqualino is in the group at the moment. Bugno and Indurain yesterday, actually Indurain said afterwards that he was much more prepared to lose a few seconds and not ride in a dangerous position in the race, for fear that if he crashed you could lose the race totally. So yesterday some of the top riders like Bugno and Indurain decided to stay near the front, keep out of trouble, and when they couldn't chase down the breakaway group of Chiappucci and Le Mans, recognised that it was better to take it easy rather than throw caution to the wind and come crash bang down. But both Le Mans and Chiappucci yesterday were cornering magnificently, and another good bloke when it comes to downhill, of course, is Stephen Roche. Well, we're just listening on our headphones to you probably saw the interviewer going alongside Roger Leger, and they've just been asking Roger Leger about the tactics, and Roger Leger, who's got the Zeds driving hard in the front, said he can't understand Gatorade and Bonesto. He said that they're not doing the chasing down at the moment at all. Two of the men who are tipped to win this race, 54 seconds then between the leading four and this little group here, and back to 2 minutes to the main group. He said he couldn't understand why Bonesto and Gatorade were not chasing down this leading group, because certainly you see with Roche, who is, what, 5:28 down on Lino. Let's forget that though, but look to see where he is on Bunyo. He started out this morning, 22 seconds did Stephen Roche. Look at him now, 22 seconds down on Bunyo. At this rate or not, he can go over the top of Bunyo and move on up into the general classification. That's why Le Mans is driving it hard, because the Z team, there's 1 minute separating Roche from Le Mans. So at the moment, you see, Roche has now gone over Le Mans as well, but Bunyo not attempting to chase it down. Indurain this morning was only some 5 seconds behind Roche on general classification. The Bonestos are not chasing down either. So it's absolutely amazing then. So the whole situation then is in the melting pot, but we just heard another radio broadcast which says, my good friend Mr. Brian Montgomery, we're listening to everything hitting at us. You can imagine we've got earphones, headphones, all sorts of notes flying around as we go on to 5 kilometres to go. The Bonesto director says that he's going to wait until the time trial to stabilise the positions. Well, we know Indurain is a brilliant time trial, but we've seen Roche as well on his in peak form, always a good time trialist as well. That, I think, is probably a bit on the dangerous side. I know it's a long time trial that we're going to have, and we go on that time trial Luxembourg circuit on the 13th of July, so we've still got this stage to finish today, then the Valkenburg-Koblenz one, and then the 65 kilometre time trial. And certainly Roche is an extremely useful time trialist, and whilst one might say that Indurain and Bunyo could get back some time on Roche, it won't be that much, because Stephen can ride very hard. Just depends how much he's taken out of himself on these lone breaks that he's been involved with so far, and driving the brakes up the hill. Very much the strong man in the race. So with less than 5 kilometres to go, this little group also closing up now. Well, I should think those leading four will want to stay away from this pack, because with sprinters like Konishave in it, it will probably undo all the good that's been done so far. So Roche then can see himself moving up the general classification over Le Mans, over Hepner. In fact, Veronk this morning, 4 minutes and 2 seconds. So Veronk, in fact, 1 minute 20 odd seconds ahead of Roche. So Roche could move above him as well. Claudio Chiappucci this morning, 2 minutes or so ahead of Stephen Roche. And so he might just about join his teammate up there in the top 3 or 4 place. Steve Barr 3:11, so I don't think that Stephen can probably move up into a second or third place, but there is that time bonus of 20 seconds for the first man across the line anyway, and that would undoubtedly aid Roche's chance of moving up into the top 4 places. So once again, the whole race has been juggled around, and if the top men think that they really got it sorted out, 1 minute 50 seconds is the latest time check we've got then. Stephen would want something in excess of 2 minutes, I think, so they better not ease back too much to make sure he can move up there and improve his position on general classification. So Pascal Lino, RMO certainly aren't chasing this one down. Their lead, I think what Lino's tactics are, is to do what he can to conserve his strength. Oh, what's going round on Tebaldi's? Oh, fortunately he's got rid of it now. A bit of plastic or something has got itself caught in his pedals, but no, he's okay. 3 kilometres to go then. Well, I think that with this here, something like 300,000 people. Here we are, look at them now, ganging up here, and we're going up the climb then. We're going through Valkenburg, the scene of the World Championship won by Jan Raas of Buckler, and a lot of people were tipping some of the Buckler riders to do well today, but they haven't actually got up there with this group at all. They tried earlier on, they had Marston away, they had Neidham away, and look at this crowd here in Valkenburg, absolutely tremendous, cheering the riders up the climb of the Coburg. This well-known climb that saps the strength because it goes up and it goes up and it goes up. It's one of those climbs which is deceptive. It hurts you all the way up. It's a racing climb. It isn't one of those where you bite the handlebars and climb up wishing to God it wasn't so steep. This is one of those long grinding climbs, and De Leon is just edging ahead. Roche is up alongside him. Roche has been trying very hard indeed on all the climbs so far. What's the strength like in his legs then? Alongside them then, Tiboldi, probably the best sprinter of this little group too. Yarman, though, is no shakes when it comes to sprinting. So Roche has got to ease some of the strength out of these riders on this final climb of the day. They've had all these fourth category climbs, 5 of them, and they've all come in the last 70 kilometres. And this is the last one, and Roche, who's been dominant on the climbs, is still playing away at the front. He's taken the last 3 climbs in his stride. Can he get this one? Tiboldi is looking remarkably good and comfortable on his wheel, and there at the back still Rolf Yarman waiting for these up in front to crack, and De Leon looks remarkably comfortable too. Up the top of this climb, when they go over there, there'll be just those final 2 kilometres into Valkenburg for the finish. And look at the mass of riders here. They will have heard that Tunisia was trying to get up with this group. They're just applauding. The Dutch just love sport. They love cycle racing. They've had so many champions over the years then. As there, Roche leads over the top. Roche takes that one then from Tiboldi, with De Leon just behind him, and there is a 2 kilometre to go. The Dutch perhaps not quite so strong now as they used to be. Look at the back of their champions they've had. People like Henny Kuiper, Olympic champion, champion of the world professional, Jan Raas, a world champion, Jerry Knetemann, a world champion. The list in recent years has been absolutely as long as your arm. And there you can see in the background that wonderful big picture which is being picked up from the transmission on television. And the crowd here now waiting with bated breath to see who wins this one. Roche still, what a tremendous comeback this one has been. He's done so much work now. He's not going to lead all the way out there and give Tiboldi an easy run to the line, I don't think. He opts, and there Yarman goes. I thought somebody might flick across, and Yarman has rushed off, and Tiboldi's gone for him. Roche has drifted off the back. Not surprising, he's been so strong in the hills. I don't think Stephen's going to get this one, but he certainly could do with the extra few seconds if he can just take third, say, which will help him on general classification. But still, Yarman has gone away from this little lot, and Tiboldi is still sitting in on the wheels. I think he's hoping that De Leon will take him up into that finish to get this one at all. But no, Roche is going on the far side now. Roche has gone yet again. And Roche has found some extra strength in those tired legs of his. He's been going so hard on all the hills, and there with 1 kilometre to go, it's only Roche is pulling back Yarman, who's still got his head down. It's still Yarman thundering down there. That's the kite. They know now up that long, steady climb in towards the finish, and then it flattens off, and Roche now has gone straight past Yarman. He's gone past Yarman, and Yarman's flicking to try and get onto his wheel. Has he got the strength in his legs, Roche, to hang on to this one? As De Leon decides he got rid of Tiboldi, he might as well go across too. But De Leon is playing craftily. He's not pushing his pedals too hard. He's drifting up quite comfortably. And still then, on the front, as they start to go up in towards that final 500 metres, it's Roche with his head down and riding for this one. What a great thing it'll be if Roche can come back with a bang and win a stay in the two, and he's going further away. Stephen Roche is still going away. What a ride, and De Leon sleeps out. De Leon, who's got so much in his legs, he's come across dead easy to Yarman. He's come across dead easy now to Roche. I fear that probably he's the man with strength in his legs, perhaps to pit past Stephen Roche, who've been riding magnificently. And there into the finishing straight, Roche out the saddle. De Leon flicks across to his left hand side. Roche looks back. De Leon's going to get this one. That's 20 seconds for the Frenchman. A win though is more important to him, but for Roche coming in, he's got 12 seconds for second place. He's annoyed with that one, but nevertheless, as far as Roche is concerned, he really has been the dominant man of the day. And Carrera, that team that's leading on the team classification, have got yet another good rider up there, and still in here they've got Garotto as well. So whilst TVM could well get the team award today, Carrera have once again shown their strength. As on the front then, Garotto starting to move forward. Brian Holm on his wheel. Then he survived. I'm just looking at Konishev, who's actually survived, and I thought perhaps that he might have got shelled out on that last climb. Then there's Brian Holm on the far side, belts away and starts to wind it up to see if he can get away from this little group that's been really blown out on that last climb. You can see the clock down there, and the big bunch is coming up from behind. They've come up very quickly indeed, and so the gap is only going to be something like about a minute, and this little group have just stayed away, and most of the main riders in contention for overall honours are sat in that big group, which you can see behind as Konishev drives to the line, but no, I think it went to Garotto just in front of him. And who's coming in there? That looks like Marie over on the right-hand side. 45 kilometres per hour was the time for today. The time of the winning time, 45 kilometres per hour. A gap then of just about a minute to the main group. And Ludwig down there was not the winner that so many people tipped, as we'll have to calculate once again who's got the green. Each of the race from Brussels to Valkenburg. Gilles de Leon taking the applause of this very sporting crowd here. And the kisses from the hostesses up on the rostrum as well. So great ride then by Gilles de Leon to take that one. And we're having to calculate and hope that we'll wait on board to see. Well, there is de Leon, Roche, Yarman. We all spot all that lot in the sprint then. Garotto, as I thought, took that one, and that will be a good day as far as career are concerned. But Gilles de Leon up there on the rostrum. Last year in the Wincanton Classic, a few Brits may remember that he finished in fourth spot on that one. He didn't have a very good year last year, and he finished seventh on the first day of the Tour de France and was out of the action really, because he got into 21st place overall the Tour de France last year. The year before that he was 15th, so he's a rider that had been a lot spoken of in the past, and now he's getting a stage success in the Tour to add to his successes that he's had in the past, particularly that Tour of Lombardy that he won when he went away on his own. Well, a great break he had there. So there we are. That's a good ride for de Leon, and Roche a bit disappointed with his second spot, I fear. And we'll be having to shuttle the points, by the way, because you may have seen yesterday that Jalabert got the green jersey. Well, afterwards they went back, and there was some complaints then from Museo about the points, and then in the end they got it wrong and said no, Museo's got it by 1 point. Well, still in the yellow jersey, Pasqualino came in with that main group, just about 1 minute down. So Roche this morning, who started out 5 minutes 28 seconds down on Pasqualino, has chipped another minute out of that one. And I think on the team time trial, Jonglino's going to have to hang on for grim death. He said he's hoping to keep that jersey through until the team time trial, until the individual time trial. I'm pretty sure he'll do that. As to whether he can keep it after that, we'll have to wait and see. That's not tomorrow, it's the day afterwards when we have the individual time trial, and people like Bugno and Indurain will be wanting to stamp their authority on this race. So yet again, on the right-hand side, the little lion. And there was an article in Cycling which said the lions weren't going to be presented again. Well, they are, you see. And so he's adding to his little zoo, because every time he finishes there in the yellow jersey, he gets another lion to take home to his wife and young Charles. So there we are, the man in the yellow jersey for RMO. Pasqualino still holding that yellow jersey, looking down there for the sprint for the 5th and 6th places. And well, they gave it to Garotto, but it looked to me as if it went to Ludwig possibly, and the pink jersey just behind it. And there looks like Lotus Festina down there. Is that Sean Kelly? We'll have to wait till we get more results. Well, the green jersey goes to Jalabert. Well, Murcio, I'm going to say he's got it now, but we'll wait till they check the point. But on the large size for him, isn't it? Well, certainly on the opening sprint of the day, Jalabert was in 3rd spot. He got some points from that. He must have finished ahead of Museo in that sprint, who was in the Belgian National Championship jersey. So he's got the green jersey back again. They put it on his shoulders yesterday, then took it off him as well, gave it back to Museo. Now he's got it back again. And very complicated the points they get, because on this stage the points run down from 35 points to first, right the way down for the first 25 riders. They get classification of points as well. That massive crowd then turn out on the Valkenburg, and they'll all be rushing back home to watch on their televisions the race, but as they've been watching it out there, come past their very eyes. So the King of the Mountains, there's been no change to that one today then, because we've got confirmation, in fact, that Roche has gone into 5th place from the radio here. They're checking the points then. Up there taking that King of the Mountains jersey yet again is Veronk. The little climbs today didn't really have much effect on the King of the Mountains, because only 4th category climbs we got today. Tomorrow, again, there are only 4th category climbs, so you might well keep this polka dot jersey for a bit longer. So well done then for Veronk. RMO being very much a dominant team in the race, with the leader on the overall and the King of the Mountains.
Tour de France was brought to you by Eurosport.